citizens were unarmed, he said. Then he said how many Jews were put in the ovens because they were unarmed. Well, someone running against him named Dimitri Shine.
Hundreds gather at church for blessing ceremony featuring R15.
A commitment ceremony for couples taking a turn at a Newfoundland church in Pennsylvania. The World Peace and Unification Sanctuary is holding a blessing service for couples and their AR-15 rifles, the same style gun used in the Florida high school shooting. Church leaders say the rifle is symbolic of, quote, the rod of iron, a biblical reference in the book of Revelation. Classes for a nearby elementary school were moved for the day. The group is a breakaway congregation of the Unification Church, which has stated it does not condone the event. Michelle Franzen, ABC.
To the gun sellers feed third call from Dick's Sporting Goods CEO.
The member of the board will serve as acting CEO. No more assault-style weapons. That's the word from Dick's Sporting Goods today. They say they will no longer be selling the guns at all their stores nationwide starting today, but is it the right decision? WWJ News Radio 950's John Hewitt spoke with shoppers at the Livonia store.
In making the announcement, Edward Stack, the CEO of Dick's Sporting Goods, whose father founded the store chain, says they were so moved by what happened in Parkland, Florida, and the eloquence of students afterwards.
Gentleman there apologizes for texts he sent to women on his security team.
I have to credit Dave Lauer for really making me pay attention to the columns and essays of Joseph Epstein, because this guy is brilliant, and he has a way with words that if we still lived in a society where women were wooed by such things, this guy would get laid left and right. I mean, I'm assuming that. I don't know what's actually happening. See, Dave, I just did it again. I just did it again. I violated
Reports Roger Stein communicated directly with EMS despite denials.
Clouds moving in, rain tomorrow. Report says special counsel Robert Mueller wants to know when President Trump knew about the hacked Democratic emails that were published by WikiLeaks in 2016.
NBC News says Mueller's team is asking witnesses if Trump knew about the emails before the public and whether he was involved in their strategic release. The report claims Mueller's investigators have also asked about the relationship between GOP Howard and Roger Stone and WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange. The questioning may indicate that Mueller is investigating possible coordination between WikiLeaks and the Trump campaign pertaining to the emails.
Several San Francisco police officers fired 65 shots at murder suspects.
You'll find some slow traffic out of San Francisco, eastbound 80, backing up onto northbound 101, just a skosh from Vermont Street to the lower deck of the Bay Bridge. Weather-wise, we're going to see the rain arriving this afternoon and evening. Right now, though, it's just mostly cloudy skies. It's 54 in San Francisco, 58 in San Jose, and 55 in Oakland.
From the city that changes the world. KGO San Francisco, Oakland, San Jose. The next generation of KGO 810. A killer station now on Amazon. Alexa, open the KGO 810 store.
And wins entertainment news. The Netflix reboot, Fuller House, is a little less full of producers today. Warner Brothers has cut ties with showrunner Jeff Franklin, who was also behind the original Full House, because of complaints about his behavior in the writer's room and on set. Fuller House will return for a fourth season. Marvel legend Stan Lee wants fans to know he's on the mend.
And when she mourned the death of her beloved dog Samantha last fall, she thought that would be it. That's it. They're done. She had her dog, her dead dog, cloned twice. I thought this was a fake news story yesterday. I saw it was doing through my phone twice. The headline: Barbara Streisand had her dog Samantha cloned twice.
I'm not shocked. I didn't know that I didn't think you could walk into your local vet and have this done, but I'm sure they got stuff for rich people.
I mean, if you got Streisand money.
Question though, they cloned my dog.
Yeah.
Is it gonna act the same way as my other dog?
She
said she has to wait until they get older to see if they act like her other dog. I think she said they're acting like puppies now, but she's not really sure about their personality.
She had it cloned twice, so she has two of the same dog currently.
So crazy.
It's not going to end well.
They extracted cells from Samantha's mouth and stomach, and they created Miss Violet and Miss Scarlet. And she's got 3 dogs, and her third dog is a relative of Samantha.
There's Barbara Streisand. That's cool.
On one hand, I want to say we're playing God, but on the other hand, aren't we playing God when we breed puppies anyway? Like we're basically God. We're creating this life. So then, what's the difference?
We were given the abilities to clone dogs. Let's do it.
Emma Thompson says tennis around this affair has acted love action.
Lori's insights into her heartbreaking love action performance, specifically the scene when Thompson's character realizes her husband is having an affair after finding jewelry he bought for another woman. We all remember the scene, listening to Jimmy Mitchell, and she also revealed that she could personally connect with the scene due to her experience with ex-husband Kenneth Branagh, who cheated on Thompson with actress Helena Bonham Carter. She said, "I knew what it was like to find the necklace that wasn't meant for me."
Oh, she cried so hard, so believably, and I forgot Kenneth Branagh had an affair. Right?
Yes, so she was taking from that specific experience.
That would be a heartbreaker. The secretary gets the necklace and you get a book.
Trump campaign chief claims names the famous stock price of Trump.
With Hope Hicks, just to inform you all as to how embedded she has been with the Trump family. From 2012 to 2014, she met Ivanka Trump while working at a public relations firm, and then she worked for Ivanka Trump's brand. 2014, Hicks joined the Trump organization. The very next year, she joined the Trump campaign as press secretary when the then candidate Donald Trump started. When Trump was inaugurated, she joined the White House as Director of Strategic Communications. She was promoted to White House Communications Director last August after the departure of Anthony Scaramucci. Let's talk about what this might mean for President Trump. First of all,
Pizza Hut replaces Papa John's as their corporate sponsor.
The NFL has a new favorite pizza.
Pizza Hut is now the official pizza sponsor of the National Football League, a day after Papa John's announced it would end its deal with the league, and months after blaming the NFL's response to player protests for slumping sales. The league's deal with Pizza Hut is for 4 years, includes an array of exclusive marketing rights, and is reportedly worth more than the last pizza deal. Papa John says its breakup with the league was mutual, instead focusing on partnerships with individual teams after reporting North American sales were down nearly 4% from a year ago.
State lawmakers are satisfied with the NRA live updates.
Thanks, but they don't really solve the problem.
President Trump says it's time to turn the grief over that Florida high school shooting into action. At a White House meeting with bipartisan group of lawmakers, the president told Republican senators, including Pennsylvania's Pat Toomey, that the president's willing to buck the gun control lobby over age limits for rifle ownership.
I'm a fan of the NRA. I mean, there's no bigger fan. I'm a big fan of the NRA. They want to do it. These are great people. These are great patriots. They love our country.
Arrest in package bomb blast kills NYC landlord, 73.
Are questioning a man in connection with an exploding package that killed a landlord last year. Police have announced a search of the man's apartment, turned up both bomb-making materials. He hasn't been formally charged. Authorities say George Ray died after suffering second and third degree burns in Queens in July 2017. Police said the package was in the shape of an oatmeal container and was left on Ray's doorstep.
University building in Florida evacuated after power thrown in air.
Where you're right on the river and defeated hundreds of officers. And there's somebody told me there was something like 3,000 from all over the country. From the Florida, New York, who was doing here. From on horseback, they're riding up, others on motorcycles, some of their large cars and they're walking out the whole front of the building, posting for huge pictures.
Charles 5413.
Vice Chief says 800 avoided arrest due to local mayor warning.
And crew in the Bay Area, the head of ICE blames Oakland's mayor. As KCBS reporter Holly Kwan tells us, Mayor Libby Schaaf was the target of angry criticism on a national stage today.
Speaking on Fox and Friends, ICE Deputy Director Thomas Coleman didn't hold back as he compared Oakland's mayor to a gang lookout. He says a weekend press conference suggesting possible imminent raids put his agents at greater risk.
I watched her statement. She says her priorities are safety of the community. But what she did had exact opposite effect.
The legacy of stories telling African Americans in African American slave force in Mexico. Most possess no more than the clothes on their backs and were suddenly homeless and their income. In the chaos following the war, where would they go? How would they reunite with their families? David Freudberg, Humankind, flourishes the screen with new documentary, The Freed People. The Civil War began in 1861 because the southern states legally seceded from the Union. President Abraham Lincoln
For next three, at Dallas, at Phoenix, at Portland. That feels like 2 in 1, right? Home for Houston, Phoenix, San Antonio, Sacramento. 3 in 1. At Atlanta, 4 in 1. Home for the Clippers, but then at Toronto, at Boston, home for Miami, home for Portland, at San Antonio, home for Denver, at New Orleans, home for Golden State, at Houston, at Miami, and then home for Memphis, who will probably be playing Chris Vernon in that game.
Cops, teacher in custody after barricading himself in classroom with gun.
Teacher in custody after shots fired at a Georgia high school. A teacher's in custody after being suspected of firing a gun inside a school. Teacher wouldn't let students into the classroom when the principal tried to open the door. The teacher fired a shot out the exterior window. School went into lockdown.
There you go. Oh my gosh.
So the teacher had a gun?
That's what they're saying. Yeah, the teacher shot the gun inside the school. And the teacher wouldn't let the students into the classroom. And then when the principal tried to open the door, the teacher fired a shot out of the window.
So we want to arm those teachers.
Oh, yeah.
Well, they already are.
Fighting rages in spite of Russian forces in Syria.
So far, no civilians have exited a rebel-held region of Syria in day 2 of what's being called a humanitarian pause. Bollywood actress Sridevi mourned in India after her accidental death over the weekend. White House aide Hope Hicks admits to telling white lies to President Trump, but she says it's not about Russia. U.S. consumer confidence rises to the highest level since 2000. Pizza Hut takes over as NFL sponsor after Papa John's took its year short.
Trump meets with Republicans, Democrats on school safety. Here's our report.
A lot less clarity now about whether a Republican led Congress would be willing to enforce the law if he's found to have committed treason or members of the administration. Do you think that is the case, that there has been a substantial shift from back then?
To some degree. I think Republican politicians are waxing and waning as Trump's popularity waxes and wanes. He passes a tax bill, they're on his side. He can't build his wall, they're against him. Their support seems to vacillate. I mean, you're dealing, everything is rapidly changing in America.
Missing CDC worker was passed over for promotion before disappearing, police say.
Upson, the mystery of a missing Centers for Disease Control and Prevention worker deepening after he went missing more than 2 weeks ago. ABC's Robert Walensky following the case in Atlanta.
This is an extremely unusual set of circumstances.
That's Atlanta Police Major Michael O'Connor, who says there's so many different scenarios as to what happened to Timothy Cunningham. Police are not ruling any of them out. Suicide, kidnapping, literally no one knows. It's all speculation.
There is a lot that I cannot simply explain.
What detectives know for sure, the CDC worker told he would not be getting a promotion on the day he disappears.
An explanation of why the promotion didn't occur is provided to him. He says he's not feeling well.
At 1803, you know what the
all those stores permanent.
Meantime, in a different world.
A commitment ceremony for couples taking a turn at a Newfoundland church in Pennsylvania. The World Peace and Unification Sanctuary is holding a blessing service for couples and their AR-15 rifles, the same style gun used in the Florida high school shooting. Church leaders say the rifle is symbolic of, quote, the rod of iron, a biblical reference in the book of Revelation. Classes for a nearby elementary school were moved for the day. The group is a breakaway congregation of the Unification Church, which has stated it does not condone the event. Michelle Francis.
Bodies found near a rural New Mexico roadside ID of missing roommates.
The living makes that big of a deal. New York sucks.
Well, New York's pretty tough here too. But by the way, overall, number 50, Louisiana. Number 49, Mississippi.
Okay.
Number 48, New Mexico. Interesting. And actually, New Mexico has a pretty high quality of life, number 8. But they're like near the bottom and everything else. Actually, what I thought was shocking is New Mexico now ranks worse for education than Mississippi and Louisiana. New Mexico is number 50.
Wow, that's not.
Mississippi's number 50 in healthcare.
Makes sense.
West Virginia is number 47 overall, which is number 50 in infrastructure.
Steve Wynn faces new sexual misconduct allegations.
And a boss, but denies they were sexually harassing. Tomorrow, the Colorado House of Representatives will deliberate a resolution to expel Democrat Steve Lebsock. The resolution comes after a report found that multiple allegations of sexual harassment against Lebsock are credible. The vote to expel Lebsock could come on Friday. Lebsock denies the allegations, saying he will not resign and believes he will ultimately be exonerated. Students went back to school today.
Trump delivers remarks at Billy Graham Memorial.
Tonight, the late Reverend Billy Graham lying in honor in the Capitol Rotunda in Washington. President Donald Trump recalled when his father took him to see Reverend Graham preach at Yankee Stadium in 1957.
My father said to me, "Come on, son." And by the way, he said, "Come on, Mom. Let's go see Billy Graham at Yankee Stadium." And it was something very special.
Graham will lie in honor through tomorrow. His funeral will be Friday at his home in Charlotte, North Carolina. A federal judge sets a September trial date for former Trump campaign chief Paul Manafort.
Florida school shooter's surviving father was attended in CNN staff.
Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida for the first time since a mass shooting there left 17 people dead. Many students have since spent time at the Florida State Capitol urging lawmakers to pass gun control measures such as banning assault weapons. But some Florida lawmakers want to arm some teachers in schools. Broward County, Florida School Superintendent Robert Runze told ABC News Today he disagrees with the idea.
Our teachers are here to teach.
Dick's Sporting Goods will stop selling assault weapons.
The big Dick's Sporting Goods chain says it will immediately end the sales of assault-style rifles in its stores and won't sell guns to anybody under the age of 21 following the shooting massacre in Florida. The chairman and CEO of Dick's, Ed Stack, said on ABC's Good Morning America the gunman Nicholas Cruz had purchased a gun at a Dick's store, but not the one used in the
Make their first job as parents at charity event.
Two royal couples and an important first. CBS's Vicky Barker in London.
Today, William and Kate and Harry and Meghan in their first joint public appearance.
Today is a very special day for us.
The quartet smiling and relaxed on stage, with Harry parrying questions about how he and Meghan resolved disagreements. Bringing royal charity work into the 21st century with an openness about their own emotional lives, unprecedented in British royal life. Vicky Barker, CBS News, London.
It's been an unusually warm winter in many parts of the country in central Florida.
Woolwood County Public Schools Superintendent holds media briefing live stream.
There's no school in Poughkeepsie today. The superintendent made the move out of an abundance of caution after a threat of a school shooting on social media. There's no word of any arrests. Meanwhile, security has been stepped up at schools in Secaucus.
Police officers are patrolling the hallways. After the Tulsa caucus is currently unarmed guards go through an evaluation to carry guns in schools. They are retired officers. Allison has 2 children and thinks it's necessary.
That's what you have to do to keep kids, just one kid alive, then that's what you have to do. But Bob...
From Slam Sessions announced to provide details including for abuse as disgrace.
President Trump is attacking his own Attorney General Jeff Sessions again this morning, saying Sessions is not doing enough to investigate whether the FBI abused government surveillance powers in a Russia probe. Sessions has said the Justice Department's Inspector General will evaluate whether prosecutors and agents abused the so-called FISA Act. Trump saying on Twitter this morning, why is AG Sessions asking the Inspector General to investigate potentially massive FISA abuse? Isn't the Inspector General an Obama guy? And then he concludes, disgraceful.
The public is paying their respects to the Reverend Billy Graham in the U.S. Capitol Rotunda this morning.
Woman held in contempt and refusing to testify in death penalty case.
And we used to, he says, was he terrible? You believe what he said? You have to go, hey, it was awful. It was awful. You're right. I mean, that's what you got to do. So the idea that these politicians are outraged, they're outraged that she would tell her a little white lie. These are senators. These guys lie. Look at Richard Blumenthal. Has there ever been a bigger liar on earth than Richard Blumenthal? This is the guy, remember he lied about being the captain of the Harvard swim team? Turns out he wasn't even on the swim team. Remember he lied about serving in Vietnam? And you ever watch those speeches on YouTube? He would tear up in front of the audience when I was in Vietnam. Turns out he was never in Vietnam. Or maybe he was in Vietnam like 2008 at the Four Seasons in Illinois or something. He was never in Vietnam. Dan Phillips, you hear
Suspect is going to be Hispanic male, blue shirt, gray basketball shorts, arms,
Did you hear about that new dining room set Ben Carson? Secretary Hudlock?
Yeah, it cost $50, right, Gene?
$31,000 he spent on the dining room set in Washington. Should have went to Cardi's. He overpaid. Could have outfitted the whole HUD department over at Cardi's with all that Made in America Amish furniture. What's the matter with Carson down there?
Supreme Court hearing Minnesota police face apparent case.
Arguing that while all states prohibit electioneering, Minnesota goes farther in prohibiting all political apparel, and that effort to broaden the restriction is unconstitutionally overbroad. The court actually pressed the challengers of this, though, to explain in more detail how they thought Minnesota had exceeded the First Amendment, had exceeded the appropriate scope of the law, and they weren't really able to answer the question.
Heavy security is students are trying to fire on schools for first time since massacre.
A massacre at Monday Stoneman Douglas High School in Oakland, Florida. Students are returning to class for the first time.
There are 3,000 students at this school, and they have 3,000 ways of dealing with this tragedy and its aftermath. Some find comfort in talking about their experience. Connor Bryan plays for the school's baseball team. He and his classmates will walk past the chain-link fence hung with mementos and tributes to the 14 students and 3 staff members killed here on Valentine's Day. Jim Ryan, ABC News at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School, Parkland, Florida.
The latest now on the envelope containing some kind of powder that was mailed to a military base just outside the Capitol.
The envelope was opened at the Marine headquarters building.
Finances more than 150 people arrested in the San Francisco area.
Brian Watt. Mayors of Oakland and San Francisco and local immigration advocates are denouncing federal immigration authorities for detaining more than 150 people this week in an enforcement operation targeting the Northern California region. Immigration and Customs Enforcement says about half of those arrested have prior criminal convictions. ICE Deputy Director Thomas Holman Moments ago on Fox News, chastised Oakland Mayor
Last advice we got was 126 on the 85.
delivers remarks at Billy Graham Memorial last
Jump around between 91 and 10
President Trump, House Speaker Paul Ryan, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell today among those expected to take part in the U.S. Capitol ceremony to remember America's pastor Billy Graham. Some 30 family members today will accompany Graham's casket from Charlotte to Washington, where he will lie in honor through tomorrow. Former President Bill Clinton Tuesday paying his respects at the Graham Library.
Millions, maybe hundreds of millions of people who, in their own way, will find some way to say thank you and goodbye to Billy Graham.
Clinton visited with Franklin Graham for about an hour. Hillary Clinton did not make the trip. Former President Jimmy Carter, meanwhile, will not be attending Billy Graham's funeral, though those reasons been given. Carter's decision means President Trump will be the only White House occupant at Graham's funeral Friday at the Billy Graham Library. A statue of Billy Graham may soon be in the U.S. Capitol building. Lieutenant Governor Dan Forrest saying the statue of former Governor Charles Aycock in Statuary Hall will be replaced with the statue of Graham.
Jammed with more than 180 rounds of ammunition left. Crews allegedly then put down his weapon and left the building, blending in with other students. CBS News is also learning that images of swastikas were found on the ammunition magazines used by the suspected shooter, Nicholas Cruz.
That is Manuel Bajorquez reporting from Florida. Updating our top story this hour, 150 people have been arrested in the past 3 days in ICE raids in Central Valley and Northern California. Officials say that they were violating federal immigration laws, and half had criminal convictions, including DUIs, weapons charges, and also assault and battery. The director of ICE, the deputy director, beg your pardon, Thomas Homan, said that 864 criminals remain at large, and he believes that many of them were able to elude arrest.
President Trump's top advisor, Jared Kushner, is going to work today without top-level security clearance. Since the inauguration, Kushner worked with an interim security clearance.
Kushner's FBI review process has been ongoing for 15 months because of his complicated financial dealings and his failure to report contacts with foreign nationals. The Washington Post reported that 4 countries, including Mexico, Israel, the United Arab Emirates, and China, discussed using these issues to exploit Kushner. White House spokesperson Sarah Sanders said he'll continue working at the White House to do the important work that he's been doing since he started in the administration.
If anything, the violence has actually stepped up. The Syrian government has launched a ground war. It was pummeling the area with airstrikes, and now it's trying to take the territory back with its forces and with pro-regime militias. We reached Tampa Bay Services, the spokesman for the Army of Islam, one of the main rebel groups in the area, and asked him about the situation.
Hopeful and anxious, Parkland students brace for emotional return to school.
A massacre at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida. Students are returning to class for the first time.
There are 3,000 students at this school, and they have 3,000 ways of dealing with this tragedy and its aftermath. Some find comfort in talking about their experience. For others,
I'm just trying to keep my mind off it as much as I can, but every time I drive past here or come to practice, it's just rough.
Connor Bryan plays for the school's baseball team. He and his classmates will walk past the chain link fence hung with mementos and tributes to the 14 students and 3 staff members killed here on Valentine's Day. Jim Ryan, ABC News at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School, Parkland, Florida.
The latest now on the envelope containing some kind of powder that was mailed to a military base just outside the Capitol.
The envelope is open at the main headquarters.
Your guide for one of them plays a Texas trial.
With that in mind, I'll call on Greg Abbott, the governor of Texas. Greg?
Here, let Greg in.
Texas authorized schools to adopt policies to implement a school marshal program where individuals would be trained to have a weapon, to be able to use that weapon. And we now have well over 100 school districts in the state of Texas
where teachers or other people who work in the school
demoted over office make every request.
Housing and Urban Development employee claims she was demoted after refusing to comply with a request from the acting agency head to find money for costly remodeling of future public parking
Firm is offering $29.50 billion for Sky. Comcast CEO Brian Roberts calls Sky an outstanding company and says British broadcaster would boost Comcast's global presence. We think that Sky will be very valuable to us as we look to expand our presence internationally, he says. Murdoch's 21st Century Fox's bid to buy the 61% of Sky it does not already own has been slowed down by regulatory problems in Britain. The primary problem is that a Fox takeover would give the Murdoch family too much control of Britain's media. Sarah Shakini.
Puerto Rico says Treasury abruptly cutting $4.7 billion relief loan to $2 billion.
Support for the Islamic State group and violent jihad. Puerto Rico's governor demanding action now from Congress after the Treasury Department apparently unilaterally cut a $5 billion disaster relief loan by more than half. Ricardo Rossello said the federal officials reduced the amount to $2 billion without providing any explanation. Congress had approved the loan at that nearly $5 billion mark back in October to help Puerto Rico recover from Hurricane Maria.
Because of the crimes of the regime and its supporters, Russia and Iran. But in actual fact, both sides, the rebels have also set up ceremonies in Damascus, where dozens of people have been killed in recent weeks.
Well, Ruth, Rachel mentioned that Russia was trying to open this humanitarian corridor, which I suppose is meant to provide a route for civilians to get away from all of this. Is that happening?
Charlotte, North Carolina officer charged with 28 sex crime counts.
News with Bo Thompson.
And I have always felt that I was North Carolina first, but South Carolina second. And I felt that in athletics. And I keep up with the Tar Heels and the Gamecocks and also the Clemson Tigers. I have to remember them.
So that was from 1996 at what was then called Erickson Stadium, the Crusade here in Charlotte with Reverend Graham, and I'm really honored in studio right now to have two people. First of all, we have
progressive group targets on the now supported candidate in Florida.
White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders says President Trump will meet with members of both parties today on gun control, and he'll pitch the idea of raising the age limits to buy certain weapons.
We expect that to be a topic of discussion. He knows that everybody doesn't necessarily agree.
The NRA claims it would violate the Second Amendment. Sanders also said there's been support for the president's idea of arming some teachers in an effort to keep kids safe.
How schools in Israel keep students safe and prevent mass shootings. School return to class today following a mass shooting in a has been turned into a memorial to the 17 students and teachers killed on Valentine's Day.
A dispute has been resolved over Christianity's holiest site. Here's CBS Newsman Robert Berger.
The Church of the Holy Sepulchre reopened today, 3 days after Christian leaders closed it in protest over Israeli plans to tax church property. Israel suspended the tax plan under international pressure and tourists returned.
I think it's a real mix of emotions being here.
Three space stations might wrap up 168-day mission.
Biggest private employers.
3 astronauts safely back on Earth after a space station mission that lasted 5.5 months. 2 Americans and 1 Russian flew up to the orbiting lab last September to work on robot arm renovation. They landed in Kazakhstan shortly after sunrise this morning, a few hours after they departed the International Space Station. A Dorchester man is in custody after he takes a baseball bat to the inside of a local barbershop. An employee at the All-Star Barbershop says the suspect came in twice yesterday appearing intoxicated.
Supreme Court rules pertain immigrants not entitled to periodic bond hearings.
In order to vote. Nina Totenberg, NPR News, Washington.
The Supreme Court says immigrants detained for deportation are not entitled to bail. The 5-3 decision overturns a lower court order that immigrants receive periodic bond hearings. The ruling stems from a class action filed by the American Civil Liberties Union on behalf of immigrants detained in some cases for years without a hearing. The ACLU says about 36,000 immigrants are being held in the U.S. on any given day, but most cases are resolved within 6 months.
Monster linked to infamous 1990 archived sentence in gun case.
Not going to accept Congress stopping a full debate on common sense gun violence legislation.
Well, the background check bill uses new incentives and penalties to encourage better compliance with current law, but does not expand the pool of gun buyers required to undergo background checks before buying a gun. Well, the Commerce Department has recommended raising import duties on Chinese-made aluminum foil. It said is being sold at unfairly low prices due to improper subsidies to producers. The Aluminum Association trade group that pressed the case said cheap imports were threatening thousands of jobs. Now, Beijing faces complaints from the U.S.
Hicks limited testimony divides House Intelligence Committee.
Hope Hicks refused to answer questions from the House Intelligence Committee Tuesday. More from correspondent Pierre Thomas.
Thank you, Donald Trump.
The 29-year-old Hicks was one of the first people to sign on to the presidential campaign.
Now, Hope Hicks is a tremendously talented person. She started off with us right from day one.
She's someone with access to the Oval Office. But lawmakers say Hicks refused to answer questions about her time in the White House and some questions about the transition. They say Hicks told the committee she was instructed not to by the White House.
House Intelligence Committee Democrats now pushing to subpoena Hicks, who followed the executive privilege playbook first used by Stephen Bannon. Meanwhile, investigators for Special Counsel Robert Mueller have reportedly been asking questions about Donald Trump's business in Russia prior to his election. Mueller's team said to be curious about Trump's earlier visits to Russia and his unsuccessful efforts to brand the building as Trump Tower in Moscow. Wins News Time 4:09.
Students prepare for emotional return to school for the first time since Parkland shooting.
A 19-year-old entered Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida with an AR-15 semi-automatic rifle and killed 17 people. This morning, students returned to class for the first time since the shooting. Among them, 17-year-old Carlos Rodriguez.
It's not going to be the same hallway. It's not going to be working tomorrow.
This is Pam Colton. Students weren't the only ones traumatized by the shooting. Teachers are also still sorting through their feelings.
Sessions unveils new task force targeting opioid manufacturer distributors.
Jenny asked for new photos.
Attorney General Jeff Sessions announces a task force to tackle the country's hold on opioid crisis. It's the Prescription Interdiction and Litigation Unit, or PILL for short.
PILL task force
targeting opioid manufacturers and distributors who have contributed to this epidemic.
This unit will also target pharmacies, clinics, and doctors, which make the opioid spread possible. WSB News Time, 5:11.
It's 11 minutes after 5:01 for the busy day here in Atlanta. Hawks home against the Pacers this evening at 7:30. Final evening for Rent at the Fox Theater.
Shannon Mafia may have time to investigate his reporter's choosing that.
Continues on the BBC World Service to Slovakia now, where the Prime Minister, Robert Fico, has offered a €1 million reward. That's roughly $1.5 million for anyone who comes forward with information about the murder of an investigative journalist.
Yes, he was Jan Kuciak and his partner. They were both found dead in their home at the weekend with single gunshot wounds. The report suggests he was about to publish an investigation linking the Italian mafia to high-level political corruption. Mr. Fico made the appeal at a televised news conference standing next to a table labeled
Virginia a couple times doubled West Virginia schools, teachers are getting ready to go back to work.
The first walkout by West Virginia public school teachers since 1990 will come to an end Thursday after Governor Jim Justice produced a revised 5% pay raise in the first year of the new contract. Teachers across all 55 counties in West Virginia went on strike last Thursday, rejecting pay raises of $808 for the first year.
Any other topic you would like to hear about Ask Me for Another Topic, simply ask the officer making from anything you care about.
RP is going to be in a white passenger car. A suspect vehicle is a large gray SUV, possibly a Hummer or Jeep, blasting on Saratoga toward Custom Stores. The RP pulled into the system.